This weekend, there was an extremely chilling story in the Washington Post. It is imperative that you read it, comprehend it, and share it. There has never been paragraphs like this written in a major American newspaper descriptively. After 8 long years, this is the practice of journalism. There are no qualifications, just straight, factual reporting about what it is that Donald Trump seeks to do. I'm going to read directly from the story. Donald Trump and his allies have begun mapping out specific plans for using the federal government to punish critics and opponents should he win a second term, with the former president naming individuals he wants to investigate or prosecute, and his associates drafting plans to potentially invoke the Insurrection Act on his first day in office to allow him to deploy the military against civilian demonstrations. In private, Trump has told advisors and friends in recent months that he wants the Justice Department to investigate one-time officials and allies who have become critical of his time in office, including his former chief of staff, John Kelly, and former Attorney General William Barr, as well as his ex-attorney Ty Cobb and former Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman General Mark A. Milley, according to people who have talked to him, who, like others, spoke on the condition of anonymity to describe private conversations. Trump has also talked to prosecuting officials at the FBI and Justice Department, a person familiar with the matter said. In public, Trump has vowed to appoint a special prosecutor to go after President Biden and his family. The former president has frequently made corruption accusations against them that are not supported by available evidence. To facilitate Trump's ability to direct Justice Department actions, his associates have been drafting plans to dispense with 50 years of policy and practice intended to shield criminal prosecutions from political considerations. Critics have called such ideas dangerous and unconstitutional. Please understand the urgency of this moment. This is a moment of national emergency. Donald Trump is defeating President Biden in the swing states where the election will be decided. If Donald Trump is elected, it will end the American Republic as we know it. It will end American democracy. The man should be taken literally and seriously, and he is saying something directly, that he would deploy the United States military into America's streets to patrol and occupy our towns, our villages, our boroughs, and our cities, to aim weapons at American citizens protesting and asserting their First Amendment rights. What Donald Trump intends to do is to cite the Insurrection Act. He'll use it as a basis to effectively establish martial law. Will the military say no to this illegal order? What will happen? We will be in a profound constitutional crisis. We will be on the edge of civil war because some of us will never submit to this, because we are Americans. We are a link in a chain that extends back to 250 years when the Minutemen assembled on the greens at Lexington and Concord, when the Continental Army crossed the Delaware River. We are Americans, and we will never let this experiment be taken from us by this vile, despicable man full of malice in his heart for all. This moment in American life has been coming. He's been building. The situation is worsening. The extremism is hotter. It's more dangerous. It's better organized. And it has a plan to take political power and to reduce the republic to nothing in 6 short months. We know we live in an age of cowardice. Every single member of the Republican Party at one time looked at Donald Trump. When the cameras were off, they said he was crazy. When the cameras were on, they got back in line. When Liz Cheney sat in the secure room after the insurrection and pointed a finger at the television when Donald Trump came on and said, "We're going to hold him accountable," the entire room, Republicans and Democrats, all members of Congress, stood and cheered together. But the Republican side didn't hold, though Liz Cheney did. Isn't it time you opt out of restrictive health insurance plans and let Crowd Health help fit your healthcare needs? Get started today for just $50 per month. Use code WARNING to get the healthcare you deserve. Crowd Health is not insurance. Learn more at joincrowdhealth.com. That's joincrowdhealth.com. Code WARNING. Today, overwhelming numbers of Democrats, when the cameras are off, they say that Donald Trump is going to be elected, that Joe Biden can't beat him. When the camera's on, they say something different. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that's misinformation? Or is misinformation only something that happens on Twitter? You see, what is it that you should call the conversation that takes place between the American media and America's elected officials that is secret, hidden, off the record, completely different when the camera light is on than when the camera light is off? Why is there such a commitment from America's power class to bullshit all of you good people about the things they know to be true and are obviously staring us all in the face? Why? You know it's true. Everybody in America knows there's something deeply wrong. There are dark clouds coming. The crisis of faith in our democracy has become a cancer. Fear is everywhere. And when you marry fear and hopelessness with a demagogic dictator wannabe like Donald Trump, disaster is at hand. There is a question that must be asked. How could it be that Donald Trump could conceivably be winning any state? Why? And the answer is something that has to be put on the table. Bidenomics was the biggest political mistake by way of branding since 1896, when the first modern presidential campaign took place. And the result of this is a collapse of support with Black voters, Hispanic voters, young voters. They don't believe the economy is good. In fact, they believe it's terrible. And the power class of the country has decided the best way to deal with this reality is to have an argument with the American people telling them they're wrong. Americans are a defiant people, and they don't particularly like being yelled at by their politicians and the most powerful people in the country, told constantly to sit down, shut up, be quiet. No. The American people are trying to send a message, and it's not being heard. And the result of the deafness is Donald Trump is poised to take power. And if he does, he will hunt his critics, seek to imprison them en masse. There will be violence in our streets. And as someone who is one of the ones that will be hunted and may be imprisoned for asserting my First Amendment rights to stand up against this insanity, I say no. This country will not go gently into that good night swallowed by the rancid Trump organization. This corrupt man must be brought down. He must be defeated with toughness, forcefulness, directness. Fighting back against his billion-dollar propaganda networks is the communications challenge of a lifetime. And here's the simple truth. The Biden White House isn't up for it, not even close. So I'll leave you with this on the screen. Take a look at these polls, linger over them. The election is a year away, and there is nothing new to learn about either of these men. The American people know who President Biden is, a good man. And they know who Donald Trump is, a terrible man. The terrible man is beating the good man, and that's a most terrible thing. In fact, it's a catastrophe, and we have to stop it as a people, coming together so we can move on and we can move forward and past this terrible era of American life.